When a woman's attention starts drifting toward another guy, the first thing that changes isn't something you can screenshot or point to as solid proof. It's not a dramatic confession or an obvious betrayal that hits you out of nowhere. Long before her actual actions walk out the door, her priorities silently shift, and the dynamic between you changes completely. You will feel that cold, subtle shift in her energy way before you ever find concrete evidence. It always begins with her response patterns. The warm, effortless, spontaneous texts you used to take for granted slowly dry up into short, delayed, and mechanical replies. A woman who is genuinely excited about you does not repeatedly forget to answer your messages or leave you hanging for hours on end without a simple explanation. The reality is remarkably simple. When someone truly matters to a person, they find the time to connect, period. As her emotional investment drops, the overall quality of your daily conversations completely collapses. Even when she does reply, the dynamic feels flat and hollow, almost like you're pulling teeth just to keep a simple interaction going. She stops asking follow-up questions, shows zero curiosity about how your day went, and no longer builds on the things you share with her. Where she used to lean in with enthusiasm, she now gives you the absolute bare minimum because her mental and emotional focus is actively divided elsewhere. A fresh rush of excitement, newness, or outside validation is grabbing her attention, and as a result, her emotional bandwidth for you is drastically shrinking. This dynamic isn't about overreacting or panicking over a single bad Tuesday when she happens to be genuinely exhausted or overwhelmed with life. Everyone has stressful days where they fall off the radar, and isolated moments of low energy are completely normal. What you are looking for isn't an occasional bad day, but a permanent new baseline in how she treats you. When low effort, cold responses, and emotional distance become the daily standard rather than the rare exception, something fundamental has shifted on the inside. That shift becomes undeniable when her availability suddenly turns hyper-selective. She isn't actually too busy for the world, she is specifically too busy for you. You'll notice that while plans with you get repeatedly pushed back, calls get chopped short, and seeing you feels like an inconvenience squeezed into a tiny time slot, her schedule still remains wide open for everything and everyone else. People naturally reorder their lives around whatever excites them the most. When a woman starts quietly squeezing you out while making room for other things, she is actively signaling that your place in her hierarchy has dropped. Recognizing this pattern isn't about chasing her down to beg for her focus back. It's about seeing the situation with absolute clarity, so you can stand firm, maintain your composure, and handle the dynamic with total self-respect. When another man enters her orbit, a psychological shift begins beneath the surface, as her brain starts subconsciously comparing her options. This isn't necessarily a conscious plan to hurt you, but human psychology naturally reacts to novelty. The presence of someone new triggers a sudden spike in stimulation simply because he is unfamiliar, creating an illusion of intensity, mystery, and excitement. That fresh rush distorts her judgment, making the new option seem captivating, while causing her to view your established relationship through a hypercritical and overly harsh lens. The comfort and predictability you built together, things that once felt like stability, suddenly get reframed as boring and stale. This dynamic of hidden comparison energy inevitably leaks out into her daily behavior, almost always showing up through three distinct shifts. First, you will deal with magnified criticism, where small habits, quirks, or traits she previously ignored or found endearing suddenly irritate her deeply. She begins picking at minor flaws, making passive-aggressive comments, or acting constantly annoyed over things that never used to bother her. Second, you will notice a deep emotional distancing, where she quietly withdraws her usual warmth, affection, and tenderness while secretly weighing her choices. Third, she will create total future ambiguity, where conversations about upcoming trips, long-term goals, or simply making plans for next month are met with non-committal answers, sudden vagueness, or complete avoidance because she is hesitant to lock herself into a future with you. As this defensive distance grows, privacy quickly becomes her top priority to protect this internal evaluation process. You'll notice her keeping her phone face down, stepping into another room to take calls, changing passcodes, or reacting with intense defensiveness if you ask simple, innocent questions about her day. When someone feels guilty or divided, they naturally project that tension outward. Instead of answering you openly, she flips the narrative, accusing you of being overly suspicious, needy, controlling, or paranoid, using anger as an emotional shield to push you away and hide what is actually happening. When comfortable routine replaces healthy romantic tension, natural attraction drops. But trying to fight this shift through insecurity, begging, or constant interrogation will instantly destroy your value in her eyes. Demanding answers or demanding reassurance only makes you appear anxious and weak, which ironically validates her doubt and pushes her right toward the alternative. You can never force a person to stop comparing you to someone else, but you have total control over how you handle yourself. The key is to remain completely calm, grounded, and focused on your own growth and purpose, making it clearly understood that your self-worth is never dependent on her validation or her choice to stay. When a woman's commitment to you begins to waver, her language shifts long before her actual physical presence disappears. She starts using specific phrases designed to rewrite the narrative of the relationship, laying down subtle verbal tracks like, "I need space," "I really need to focus on myself right now," or "I'm just not in a place to have anything serious." In a healthy relationship, taking time for personal growth is totally normal. But when these statements are dropped alongside a sudden wave of emotional distance, selective availability, and secretiveness, it is rarely about self-improvement. It is almost always a soft exit strategy, a calculated cushion designed to let her step back without suffering the immediate guilt or messiness of a clean breakup. By constantly talking about needing space or finding herself, she creates psychological breathing room that allows her to explore other options entirely free of accountability. This subtle shift systematically flips the entire foundation of the connection, from a dynamic of us to a narrative of me. During this phase, you will inevitably witness social repositioning, where she suddenly emphasizes her independent lifestyle publicly and begins spending significantly more time out on the town without you. Her social profiles, weekend plans, and daily focus start leaning heavily into her solo identity as she draws a huge surge of self-confidence and excitement from outside attention and external validation. The massive mistake most men make in this exact moment is reacting out of fear, anxiety, and panic. When a guy feels the sudden pull away, his instinct is to press for answers, demand immediate clarity, blow up her phone, or suddenly shower her with needy affection to pull her back in. Overcompensating, clinging, and trying to force reassurance completely backfires because it validates her internal belief that you are needy and that she needs space from you. Pressure confirms her desire to leave, giving her every excuse to walk away completely while placing the blame squarely on your suffocating reaction. The absolute strongest and most powerful move you can make when faced with this sudden speech about independence is total, unflinching, calm acceptance. The moment she asks for space, give it to her fully, cleanly, and without a single shred of bitterness or emotional drama. Immediately match her energy by pulling back your own availability, stopping the constant updates, and shifting 100% of your daily focus into expanding your own world, pursuing your personal ambitions, and elevating your life. Handing her that distance with total composure sets a powerful boundary. If her talk was genuine, your steady baseline forces her to respect you. And if it was just an excuse to test other waters, your silent detachment exposes her true intentions at light speed. Calmness accelerates the raw truth, whereas desperate chasing only delays the inevitable. When you realize or suspect that another man has entered the picture, your very first move must be to completely kill off any emotional, chaotic reaction and instantly adopt a quiet, steady, strategic mindset. The absolute worst thing you can do when you feel a woman pulling away is to launch an intense, anxious interrogation filled with needy questions like, "Who is he? Why are you acting so distant?" Or, "Are you talking to someone else?" Firing off defensive questions completely destroys your attraction, makes you look incredibly insecure, and immediately puts her on the defensive. When a woman feels cornered, her natural instinct is to hide the truth, make excuses, or turn the argument around on you to make you look crazy. Instead of demanding answers, Step back into total silence and simply observe her daily actions over time. People always reveal exactly who they are and where their loyalty lies through their repeated behavior when they feel completely unpressured and unmonitored. The moment you spot this dynamic, you need to channel all of that nervous energy directly back into your own life and level up without saying a single word about it. Shift your complete daily focus away from trying to fix her mood and put it entirely onto your physical fitness, your career goals, your personal projects, your routines, and your social circle. High value and real personal power come from living a full, exciting, and deeply compelling life that does not stop moving forward just because someone else's energy changed. When you spend your time waiting around, checking her location, or obsessively watching her social media, you lower your worth and prove that your emotional state is completely dependent on her. Reclaiming your time, pouring into your own growth, and elevating your standard quietly demonstrates that your life is moving upward, regardless of who decides to come along for the ride. Along with elevating your life, you must instantly strip away your overavailability and stop overfunctioning in a dynamic where your effort isn't being matched. When a woman senses that you are sitting on standby, anxiously waiting for her texts and ready to jump the second she gives you a crumb of attention, any remaining urgency or respect she has for you completely vanishes. Match her energy level step for step. If her responses become delayed, short, and low effort, drop your own responsiveness down, stop reaching out first, and stop trying to carry the weight of the conversation on your back. Removing your presence forces her to feel the realistic, cold consequence of her withdrawal. It creates immediate contrast, showing her that your time, your focus, and your attention are exclusive privileges reserved only for those who actively invest back into you. Finally, you have to adopt a mindset of absolute outcome independence and be fully prepared to walk away without throwing a single tantrum. A connection that can be easily shaken, disrupted, or ruined by the mere presence of an outside option was never securely built or deeply rooted to begin with. You must treat this entire situation as valuable, direct feedback about the relationship, rather than a personal failure or a blow to your self-worth. If she decides to chase a new spark, let her go cleanly, keep your composure intact, and refuse to engage in a desperate race for second place. A grounded man knows his worth, respects his own boundaries, and understands that losing someone who wasn't truly committed to him is never a real loss. It is simply opening up space for the right person down the road.